Welcome to another episode of Do-Rag with the Cape Road. I got the Dewey on, just in case you don't see, but you should be able to see. How y'all doing? Not that you can answer me back. Nevertheless, we defeated racism. Congratulations to everybody out there doing your thing. We was able to finally thwart racism. We haven't defeated racism. We haven't defeated any of the ills of the nation because it's all ideologies that we are fighting against. People, you can get rid of people easy, but the way people think is really hard to get rid of. Like, one of the wildest things, I may have brought this up before, but I know in conversation about like mentality and mind state, I bring up pictures of trigger warning. For anybody that don't know, I'm going to talk about pictures of like the lynching of black bodies or whatnot at picnics, because the term picnic comes from a very racist term. I'm only like a minute into this video, not that it's going to get monetized, but it's pick and then add an N-word, because what they would do is it was a family event. They would gather together and take, whether it be black men, black women, but it's more often than not black men. They would lynch them, give out food and stuff, party as it's happening. Then they would auction off body parts. Yeah, and I always talk about how there's pictures of those, events, and there's, adults, whites or whatever, smiling about what's going on, but there's children there that are smiling, that don't know any better, because it's a mentality, because racism and all that stuff is taught. So if at any point in time you hear anybody telling you things are different, or that things have changed, or that we need to move on to something else, you ask them, okay, how? Because a couple good things happening here and there don't count for it changing all around the world. Like a black president or a black billionaire doesn't mean that racism is over. That's still a mentality. You still had people calling Obama a secret Muslim, whatever the hell that means. Speaking of Muslims, El Hajj Khaled. You may know him as DJ Khaled. We the best. Who we is very Palestinian, but I don't think he connects to it at all, and it's pretty wild. So obviously, if you've been paying attention to the Western media in general, but Western media for sure, you've been seeing stuff about what's going on in Palestine. You've been seeing a lot of pro-Palestinian protests that they are labeling as Hamas protests. You've been seeing a lot of pro-Israeli protests that they've been labeling as like the right one. But you've seen a lot of, discourse in regards to what's happening in that part of the world, right? And you've seen famous people like Amy Schumer. You may not know who she is. You don't need to. She's not talented at all. That's as far as that's going to go. But then you see like a lot of people who are in the world of celebrity that we tend to be involved in their lives because the media wants you to be involved in their lives. People who are pro-Palestine, which is basically pro-peace, try to, get stuff together. And then people who are pro-Israel, who some are pro-peace, but it may be kind of weird because they get mixed up with the people who are pro-Israel, who are really not for peace, and they're really just for the degradation of a people and taking over more land. Because if you really want to understand what's going on over there, the things you need to understand is that it's not even a holy war, nor is it really, it is a lot of racism, but not even really a holy war, more than it is a war of money. Because if you look at where Israel is located on the map over there, right? And you look at Egypt and you look at the Suez Canal, a lot of trade happens within the Suez Canal. Israel is not involved in a lot of that trade because Egypt doesn't really like Israel, even though Egypt is kind of complicit in a lot of stuff that's going on. Egypt doesn't really like Israel like that, so they don't really let them hang and do their thing at the Suez Canal. So a thing that Israel has been petitioning for the state of Israel since like 2021 is to create a canal in Palestine, named after the first Israeli prime minister, who was somebody who spearheaded Zionism with the British before there was even a place for those exiled Israeli European people. I mean, those European those European Jews to go to. So yeah, it's not a war of terrorism that they want to tell you. What attacks on October 7th terrible? Of course. No one's denying that. Those were horrible. Were the following atrocities by the IDF also horrible? Of course. But a lot of people are denying that. But it's really not about Benjamin Netanyahu wanting to get rid of the Hamas at all costs. They want to get as many Palestinians out of the Gaza and into neighboring places like Lebanon and Syria or whatnot, so that they can build a canal rivaling the Suez Canal so that they can do trade. You heard it here first, people. And RIP to those 3 Israeli hostages that were gunned down by their own military, who was quote unquote sent there to save them. I have my opinions on that. I'm gonna just leave it alone. But I will say those people, that is horrible that happened. I pray that this shines more of a light on the war crimes that the IDF is committing. And you know, peace everywhere. But back to Hajj Khaled. You know, we the best. Who we? He's a very interesting character. So a lot of famous people, like I said, people that are in a part of the zeitgeist, they been posting stuff on their social medias in support of whatever ideology they're in support of, wanting to see better or whatever, not for the world or whatnot. And excuse me, there's been a lot more Jewish famous people who've been speaking out, more so than as far as Israeli people, more so than like Palestinians. Well, and there's a few Palestinian people who are famous, like Mo. I don't know if you know Mo. He's a comedian. He did
the stages that I'm used to, but I'm really just taking a moment to soak you all up, every single one of you. I didn't really intend on speaking today. This was all really spontaneous, but seeing everything that's happening is just making my heart bleed.
He has a show on Netflix. Hopefully, inshallah, gets the second season. He's hilarious, but he's been supportive of Palestine because he's Palestinian, and in his show, he shows his Palestinian life. He's like one of the one of the main things about the show. Like a part of the premise is the fact that he's here kind of illegally. But yeah, he's super pro-Palestine and pro-peace and wants things to be better in that part of the world because that's where he's from. Hajj Khaled, I'll get into why I'm calling him that in a second, is also Palestinian. I like this smoke going past my face. I'm sorry, I had to burn the incense. That looks pretty cool. Hajj Khaled, he is also Palestinian and has said absolutely nothing about what's happening. His last post actually was November 7th about an interview that he did for GQ, I think, his article or whatever. What's hilarious about that and sad is that October 7th, a month prior, was when Hamas attacked that concert that also Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF knew was going to happen. This is alleged by a lot of people, and a lot of Israeli people who have been freed from the events, like that one hostage I told you about before, and just other people that are in Israel, because there's a lot of Israeli people who don't mess with the government and that power structure at all.
Terror attacks and the government response have sharpened the country's already intense political divisions, and many people heap blame on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for what's happening. Remy Inocencio is following.
Have said, like, yo, y'all was aware of them wanting to attack this. Why didn't you do anything? Oh, you're busy in the West Bank committing atrocities. Yeah. So it's not to say that it's an inside job, because I don't believe that at all. But it's kind of like a 9/11-ish kind of thing where you agitated the situation so much so that you knew it was going to happen. You had intelligence that it was going to happen. But rather than do anything about it, you kind of like were lackadaisical in your response, and then very, very, very violent in your retaliation after, because you just needed more backing to do what you were planning on doing anyway. Nevertheless, I can go into that for days. Your boy Hajj Khaled, right? We the best. Who we? Had an article that I had a friend read for me because I was walking to the gym, and I was just laughing as I was being told that he was like, yeah, you know, I grew up. I think it was in Louisiana. I think is where his parents, who are Palestinian immigrants, so he's first generation. Parents Palestinian immigrants. I think he was raised in Louisiana, from his Palestinian immigrant parents, who ran like a shop or whatever, and he remembers like holding on to the money for his parents while they was doing what they was doing. And as he came up, you know, it's been a lot of he went through a lot of struggle and strife to get it together. And like, I'm just paraphrasing the article because it's really dumb. And like, you know, I'm doing what I can for my community in Miami. Not to say that underprivileged and underserved kids in Miami don't deserve somebody to care for them. This is not what that's about. But, you know, I've been doing all of that. You know, it's all about positivity and light and all that. And whatever. Bro, what's wild is, fam, his whole, like, narrative, the whole way he approaches whatever he does, how he does it, because I don't even know how he's still relevant in music, but it's about positivity and love and, like, unity, right? So you would think if you operate in that space, like, that's your message, is that.
Smart. You very smart.
Why aren't you talking about what's happening in your homeland? Like, when your mom and dad, like, you clearly probably still, more than likely, if they aren't blown up or haven't defected to somewhere else, like, you have families still. Oh, fix the Dewey. It's Coogee Supreme Do-Rag, you know, part of my fresh. You have family that's still more than likely in Palestine, and yet you don't care. And like, you can say with the article, like, oh, nah, you know, with articles, you know, they probably did it a while long ago, and then put it out November 7th, but it, you know, it was scheduling kind of situation. That don't even matter, because what's been going on in Palestine is not like an isolated incident. Like, October 7th to what's happening now is not like, oh, this is in a vacuum. Like, the whole Palestine-Israel situation is something that's been going on since like the 60s. Like, since 1948, where it was like Israeli Independence Day, but also it was the Nakba, so but like, so how dare you be like, we the best, God did, like, all this love and positivity, and you don't even show love and positivity to your own community, fam. All you do is make music with 750,000 people on it and put out collaborations of ugly-ass sneakers. It's wild, bro. It's wild. And the thing that makes it wilder is that you think, I know a lot of people who, in this world, you want to be in a better position for yourself, right? In this society, you want to have food on your table, clothes on your back, a place to sleep, or whatnot. right? So since you want those things, you would imagine that those things should be kind of like a right almost. They should be, right? So I'm still fixing this because the camera look kind of weird to me, whatever. Maybe the light. But you would think that those things should be a given, like food on the table, clothes on your back, roof over your head, like the bare minimum. Anything else extra, like if you're trying to get like some Balenciagas, or you want like $1,000 steak, like you should have to do some work to get that. But like basic stuff should be there. But when you start to accumulate wealth, like monetarily speaking, what's the point of it? Aren't you supposed to be looking to better everybody else around you? Like, wouldn't you want to enrich your community? Because if we all get money, then we all got money, then everybody's good. But if you just getting money and you ain't doing nothing for nobody else, then what are you really doing? Like, you can play silly, like ignorant to situations like, oh, I didn't know this was going on, or oh, I put this much money to it, or I put that much money to it. Yeah, that's cool. There's so many people that use their money as tax write-offs when it comes to altruism. They just throw it at a couple organizations during these kind of times and be like, I did my part and that's it. It's like, how about you just give up all of your money? Right? Like, no one's saying, be without your money, like not be able to feed, clothe, and house yourself. We're saying, like, why do we live in a society where we champion wealth so much that we deify people? That, like, especially me being a so-called black man, because I don't know what part of Africa my family was either stolen from. I don't know if we was free Africans. I don't know, fam. I haven't done my 23andMe yet, but I do want to travel through Africa. That will happen. But I know I'm part Caribbean. So the other half of me is from Trinidad. And I know that Trinidad got its independence from the British in like the 60s. And I know that a lot of the Caribbean islands still have that Elizabeth broad that died, alhamdulillah, but that died, they still got her face on their currency. And that's a powerful thing. You wonder, like, why do we deify these people and look at these people as like, oh, these are the beacons of hope, and these are the greatest examples of what success looks like? When in actuality, we know from people, committing, exiting the world by their own doing, we know that these people, some of them aren't that happy because things don't buy you things don't get you happiness. They can put a smile on your face, but what is wealth really? Like, what are you really doing? Like, you really out here calling saying we the best. Who's the best? It ain't you. Like, what are you doing? You got all of this monies with all of these ugly sneakers, and you got a whole country right now, whatever, a whole occupied land. These people are in an open air prison in Gaza getting bombed to smithereens, and you ain't doing nothing about it, fam. And no one's to say that you got to be a superhero, but then you can be a superhero, because at the end of the day, who's to tell you can't do what you want to do? Especially when we champion being wealthy so much that we look at some of these people like superheroes. Like, people think Elon Musk he thinks he's Iron Man. People kind of treat him like that. And he's really just a dude that inherited some money, that made a couple plays with PayPal, and then he flipped that into SpaceX and it worked out, and now he's destroying Twitter, and because he wants a space where people can say whatever they want and not talk about him. But, like, for what though? Like, power is really for the weak. Because what is power? Who are you stronger than? What are you holding that over? Like, how are you operating in this space to make things better? There's more power, there's more strength in community. To be wealthy does what for who? Like, we've seen so many examples of this just being something only about putting yourself above others. It's only a social thing. Like you're enriching yourself to be better than other people. But if you bring everybody else up, we would all be fine. So you can't say, like, we the best, because who? Make sure your do-rag keep his robe. Peace.